All right, let's talk about a mystery that probably lives in your kitchen pantry right now. You know what I'm talking about? That jar of honey that's gone from that beautiful, golden, runny liquid to, well, something thick, grainy, and solid. So, what is going on here? Let's dive in. You know this scene all too well, right? You go to grab the honey for your tea, maybe for some yogurt, and you find this. It's cloudy, it's kind of gritty, and it is definitely not pouring anywhere.
And the first question that pops into your head is, has this gone bad? Is it spoiled? Should I just throw it out? It's a super common thought, but I promise you, the real answer is going to surprise you.
So yeah, let's call this whole thing the pantry problem. And don't worry, we are about to solve it for good. Okay, here's the big reveal. It is absolutely not spoiled. In fact, it's the complete opposite. This crystallization process, it's totally natural, and it's actually a hallmark of pure, high-quality, unheated honey. So if you see this, it means you've got the good stuff. So why? Why does this even happen in the first place? Well, to understand that, we got to get into the science of what honey actually is. The official name for this is crystallization, and it's just a change in the honey's physical state. Think of it like water turning into ice. It's still water, just in a different form. And this is so important. It only changes the texture and maybe lightens the color a bit. The flavor, the quality, all the good stuff inside, it's all completely unchanged. So if you break it down, honey is what's called an oversaturated sugar solution. Now, that's just a fancy way of saying it has way more sugar packed into it than the little bit of water it contains can actually handle. You see, it's mostly two types of sugar, fructose and glucose, and that imbalance is exactly what makes it a little unstable and perfectly sets the stage for crystallization.
You can almost think of these two sugars as having different personalities. You've got glucose, he's the crystallizer. He doesn't dissolve in water very well, so he's the one that wants to separate out and form those little solid crystals. And then you have fructose, she's the fluid one. She's much more soluble and is perfectly happy staying liquid. So the balance between these two is absolutely everything.
And that balance, that's exactly why some honeys will crystallize in just a few weeks, while others can sit on your shelf looking perfectly liquid for years and years. The process doesn't even always look the same. Depending on the honey, it can turn solid all at once, really uniformly, and create this beautiful, creamy, spreadable texture. Or you might see it separate into two distinct layers, a solid crystal layer at the bottom with a dark, liquid fructose layer on top. Both are completely normal. So what's the number one thing that determines how fast this happens? It's the nectar source. It all goes back to the specific flowers the bees visited. So honeys that come from clover or sunflower, for example, are naturally higher in that crystallizing glucose, so they'll firm up really fast. But then you have honeys like acacia or tubolo, which are higher in fructose, and they can stay liquid for a really, really long time. Okay, so besides the flowers, a few other things are at play. First, raw honey tends to crystallize faster because it has tiny bits of pollen and wax in it, and these act like little seeds for the crystals to start forming on. Commercial processing, on the other hand, often involves heating and super filtering the honey precisely to remove these seeds, which is why that honey stays liquid on the grocery store shelf for so long. And finally, temperature is huge. That cooler range between 50 and 59 degrees Fahrenheit is like the perfect sweet spot for crystallization to happen really fast. Okay, so we get it. Crystallization is a good sign. But let's be real, sometimes you just want your runny, liquid honey back, right? Well, don't worry, there is a super simple fix.
The whole secret is just gentle heat. That's it. You can easily melt those glucose crystals right back down and get your honey back to that original, silky, liquid state without doing any damage.
Now here's the easiest way to do it. Just take the lid off your jar, assuming it's glass, and place the whole jar in a pot of warm water. Then just let it sit. The gentle heat from the water will slowly dissolve those crystals. If you want to speed it up, just give it a little stir every now and then. And here's what that looks like. It's called a hot water bath. Chefs might call it a bain-marie, which sounds really fancy, but it's just a simple way to gently heat something. The key is to make sure the water is just warm, not boiling. This method is absolutely perfect for glass jars. And here it is, maybe the most important rule of this whole process. Do not let the temperature get above 40 degrees Celsius or 104 Fahrenheit. If you overheat honey, you'll actually destroy its delicate flavors and all those beneficial enzymes. So please remember, low and slow is the way to go. All right, your honey is back to its glorious liquid self. So how do you keep it that way for longer?
let's talk about proper storage. The rules here are really simple. Just keep your honey in a tightly sealed container at a stable room temperature. Your pantry is perfect. And the number one biggest don't, never, ever, ever store it in the refrigerator. Remember that cold temperature range we talked about? The fridge is the absolute ideal environment for those glucose crystals to form, and it will make your honey solidify super fast.
You know, this quote really just says it all, doesn't it? Crystallization is not a flaw. It doesn't mean your honey went bad. It is a defining feature and attribute of pure and natural honey. It's actually something to be appreciated, not feared. So I'll just leave you with this one thought. The next time you find that solid jar of honey in the back of your pantry, are you going to see a flaw that needs to be thrown away? Or are you going to see it as a feature, the signature of a pure natural product, and know exactly what to do?